Hi, I'm Mr. Burke, and this is my Introduction to Latin series. This is going to be a shorter one. In the last lesson, we learned the terms subject and direct object, and we learned that Latin expresses these grammatical ideas with word endings instead of word order. We learned that a expresses a subject and expresses a direct object. But it's a little more complicated than that, because does more than just refer to a subject, and can do more than just refer to a direct object. Subject and object are what we might call uses of a bigger grammatical concept called cases. So doesn't really mean subject, it means something else, it means nominative. And then, as Latin scholars, we know the nominative case conveys the subject of a sentence. And doesn't really mean direct object, it means something else, it means accusative. And as Latin scholars, we know the accusative case is used for the direct object of a sentence. But they're used for more than just that, so it's important to learn these terms now, these terms nominative and accusative. But Latin has more than just nominative and accusative. In fact, it has 5 cases. 6.5 cases, but we don't have time for that right now. In America, these cases are traditionally ordered nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. This order is important because it's going to help us learn word patterns as we go. So let's figure out a way to make the pattern more memorizable. Some people suggest coming up with a memory mnemonic to remember N, G, D, A, C, A, B. So something like, no good dog accepts abuse. Whatever you do, it's important to learn this order. And it's time we talk about a full pattern for this order. I, ah. Notice that A-E makes the I sound when next to each other. Notice also that to accentuate the difference between the nominative, and the ablative, I draw the ablative out. There's no good way to learn these endings. I suggest you start by chanting them in the shower or on your way to school, or even just before bed. And try it again when you get up in the morning. Some students have an easier time attaching these to words. In the last lesson, we learned the word puella. So let me show you. Puella, puellai, puellai, puellam, puella. At some point, these need to become more than just a chant for you. They need to become instantaneous. I need to be able to say puellam, and you need to be able to think accusative. And more, you need to be able to think accusative direct object. But for now, the chant will do, and it's good practice and good to try to get into your head. We call a series of endings like this a declension. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we learned about the cases in their proper order: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. We learned that subject corresponds to the nominative case, and direct object corresponds to the accusative case. And lastly, we learned a series of endings that we'll call a declension. We learned the first declension, singular. I, ah. Until next time, wale.